In just over an hour from now, a real nail-biting moment for NASA and all of us here on Earth, because the Artemis 2 astronauts are on track to splash down off the coast of California. It's going to happen right after 8 o'clock Eastern. Let's get another look now, live inside the Orion spacecraft in its final stretch home. But as we said earlier, this is really the most dangerous part of the mission. The heat shield on the capsule has known design flaws. It will face temperatures nearly half as hot as the surface of the sun as it re-enters Earth's atmosphere. So we have an all-star panel to get you ready for splashdown. Tom Costello and Gadi Schwartz have been following this mission from the start. We also have astronomer and space scientist Dr. Emily Rice, who's wearing a moon blouse. I don't know if you can tell that on TV. Craters and all, very impressive. Yes, an Artemis necklace. You definitely got the assignment. I appreciate that, Dr. Rice. And former NASA astronaut Steve Robinson, who's only just wearing his flight jacket. I mean, I guess that counts too. That works. I appreciate you all being here. So, Tom, let's first set the stage here. What are our biggest concerns about this heat shield as they begin to make reentry?
Yeah. And by the way, Steve Robinson has real expertise on the heat shield. We should ask him this as well. Here's the bottom line. Right now, they are traveling, I just checked this a second ago, real-time NASA data, 11,000 miles per hour. And when they hit the 400,000-foot level in the atmosphere, they will then hit 25,000 miles per hour. That's Mach 33. They're going to come screaming into the atmosphere, right? So we are really closely watching this heat shield on the bottom. Now, on the Artemis 1 mission, that was an uncrewed, in other words, unmanned mission. When they came through the atmosphere, they had significant charring, if you will, burn marks, cuts on the bottom, much more than NASA was comfortable with. So as a result, they've changed what they call the angle of attack, the angle of descent here. And instead of coming in kind of in a slower, longer path, they're coming in hard and fast. It will be very hot, but the idea is it will be a quicker descent. It won't last, the heat will not last as long as it did on the Artemis 1, and hopefully, therefore, you're kind of mitigating the heat on the shield. Now, they're also going to lose comms. They're going to be in blackout conditions for a total of 6 minutes. Now, that's not unexpected, but at 23 seconds after they begin that reentry interface, once they begin hitting the atmosphere, that's when they lose comms for about 6 minutes. And everybody will be a little nervous, right? Everybody will be watching closely and holding their breath. There is every reason to believe that this will go right. But we are also haunted by the memory of Columbia, of course. And Steve Robinson's mission was the first after Columbia, when those astronauts died, when their heat shield failed for a different reason. It was hit by debris. But nonetheless, that underscores the risk of coming in on reentry with a heat shield that might be compromised. So everybody's going to be watching this very closely. No reason to believe that this heat shield is compromised, but the stakes, of course, are very high.
So, Steve, weigh in on this. Tom kind of set the stage for us in terms of what we should be looking for from these heat shields. How nervous are you about this? Do you think NASA has this figured out, or is it something that in the back of your mind gives you a little anxiety?
NASA, I think it does have this figured out. Capsules have been entering the atmosphere with humans inside for more than 60 years, and we haven't had a failure yet, except on Columbia, where it was hit from the outside by something else. That's not going to happen on this flight. NASA has done, I'm very knowledgeable about the amount of work that NASA has done on this particular heat shield. Now, these are test flights. On the previous Artemis 1, NASA learned a lot about the heat shields, and it was the problems they had with it was really due to the way they entered the atmosphere. They entered the atmosphere, skipped off on purpose, and then came back in. That skip-off generated gas that was inside the heat shield that couldn't get out, and it popped off sections of the heat shield. It was still fine. There was no thermal overload or anything. But this time, they're not going to do that skip. They're not going to get that trapped gas. And, of course, I'm nervous about entry. I'm always nervous about entry.
Yeah, right. Even if you have everything figured out, something could always still go wrong. So, Gadi, talk to us a little bit. We see the astronauts inside the capsule right now. It's fascinating to see them live as they're preparing for reentry. What are they experiencing right now? What's the next hour going to be like as they make this journey home?
Yeah, I don't know who that is over there on the left of us, but they just ate something. They took something, they squeezed it into their mouth. And Ryan, I gotta say, like, before we even just Here's something that is crazy. I've never been to space, but we're looking at this down here on Earth, and we're like, okay, well, you know, they're sitting down, and they've got up, right? No, there is no such thing as up or down in Earth. And that is about to change in space. That is about to change when they come down to Earth. In that little crack, you see somebody that is like horizontal, sideways, they're moving around. No up or down, but in about an hour, 1 hour from now, or maybe a little bit less than an hour, that crew module, service module separation is going to happen. That's those kind of like solar panel wings. Those are going to come off. They're going to separate, and that is going to expose the heat shield for the first time. And then they're going to do this thing called a raise burn. It's about an 18-second burn, so you got the capsule here. I think right now, and I'll have to check with an astronaut, but I think they're coming down like this orientation. Then they're going to come 18 seconds, and then they're going to face Earth like this so that the heat shield is facing the right way. And then from then on, they will know which way is up, which way is down for the rest of their time down here on Earth. But right now, they are, I mean, these are the last moments that they are in zero gravity. And it is, again, you know, could you imagine being a human up there, and they are about to experience those 4 or 5 Gs, which are 3 to 4 Gs, if I understand correctly, which isn't crazy. Fighter pilots can pull up to 9 Gs, but that ride is going to be relatively smooth as fighter pilots are concerned as they come down. But Ryan, again, those people on the outside, they're chilling in 75-degree weather right now inside of that capsule. Outside is going to be, as you said, you know, like we're comparing surface of the sun. It's like twice as hot as lava. I mean, thousands and thousands of degrees Fahrenheit with a plasma cocoon all around it as they streak across the sky over the Pacific. Incredible to watch.
So let's bring Dr. Rice into the conversation. You know, we know that this is a building block, right? You know, Artemis 1, they sent a test capsule up. Now we've got astronauts on board. The eventual goal to land on the moon and then perhaps even go to Mars. What have we already learned about the potential of human space exploration just from this mission?
This has been amazing. We've learned, I think, from this mission that we can do it. We can do it again. You know, the Apollo missions landed humans on the moon. None of these astronauts were alive, I realized, when humans last stepped on the moon.
That's really fascinating.
None of them, yeah. And it's amazing that we still have some of those astronauts alive. I love that we have this overlap between the Apollo generation and the Artemis generation. And I think we've also learned that we can do it internationally as well. It's an international collaboration. Even though NASA is the space agency that's on everybody's minds, it's really an international collaboration. So the service module was built by the European Space Agency. There were CubeSats that were launched by Artemis when it first launched, and those were launched into low Earth orbit. And then, of course, we have our first Canadian astronaut circling the moon. And so that's really, really fun. And
so the goal is that they would land on the moon in 2028. Is that realistic based on everything that's happened on this mission?
I would love to see it. I do think this mission, like, you know, we only have a couple more hours before we can call it a full success. I think we're getting very, very close. And I think one of the wonderful things about this mission is that the crew has emphasized that they hope to be a footnote eventually in the grander plan of the Artemis missions. And that does include, so Artemis 3 is going to test the docking in Earth orbit, and then Artemis 4 is going to take people back to the moon. So still a lot of technology to develop, but we're on track, and it's happened kind of more quickly before, back in the 60s.
And so speaking of on track, Tom, I understand NASA's given us an update with the final suit check. What does that mean, and what comes after that?
Means all good, and they're about to just make absolutely sure with the umbilical cords, but all good. They're wearing their suits for reentry. And can I just make the point here? I have been in the training simulator there with some of the astronauts. And so I can tell you, I know the positions here. Reed Weissman, the commander, is on the left, the closest to us. Next to him, on his right, that's Victor Glover. He is the pilot. And then the other 2 mission specialists are down below, kind of out of shot. So that's Reed on the left and Victor on the right. And Jeremy and Christina, of course, are down further at their feet as they ride this thing back down. And it is fully in the automated mode, right? They're not going to have to manually fly this. It is all being controlled by the computers, all being controlled by the mission control computers. And that's as it should be, because you do not want to be manually flying something at 25,000 miles per hour on reentry. If you try to fly it with a stick, you're going to make a mistake. So this is all perfectly calculated and calibrated as they move in here to the approach of reentry. By the way, I want to reiterate the timeline here. 7:53 p.m. Eastern time is when they hit the atmosphere, 400,000 feet up. And they call that the re-entry interface here. And it is going to come in at an angle, as Gadi said, coming in at an angle and then plunging, and the heat on the bottom, as you mentioned, 5,000 degrees.
Yeah. Steve, I'm kind of struck by the fact that these astronauts are all strapped in here. They've got their spacesuits ready to go. How long have they been in that position? I'm getting anxiety. I have to get on a flight later tonight about how long I have to be on a flight for, like an hour. How long have they been in this position where they can't move at all and in such tight quarters? And is this something you also train for, to be prepared to be in a position like this for an extended period of time?
Oh, these are astronauts. No problem whatsoever. They haven't been in this position for very long. For launch, it was a lot longer. And let me tell you, when they're coming in through the atmosphere, we've been talking a lot about what happens on the outside. What do these astronauts see from the inside? And this is something no one has seen from an Orion capsule because it's never been flown by humans before. So here's what they're going to see. We've been talking about this plasma sheath around the capsule. A plasma sheath is kind of what happens on the inside of a neon bulb. So what they're going to see is glowing air that starts out kind of light yellow and goes all the way through orange to red as they come down into the denser atmosphere. And this will be glowing brightly through their windows and casting colors across the capsule. It's going to be an amazing thing for them to see.
We now have Liz Kreutz, who's going to join us now. She's off the coast of California. This is in the general vicinity of where the crew is expected to splash down. And Liz, you had the opportunity to talk to some of the members of the Navy who are actually going to go get these crew members. What did you hear, and what should we expect from that stage of this return?
Yeah, hey, Ryan, from sunny San Diego, we're here. Everyone's so excited. It seems like the weather conditions are really holding out and really good for this splashdown. In fact, right behind me is the Navy base in Coronado, and that is where the astronauts are going to be flown to once they are retrieved from the Orion capsule. So we'll be watching out for that later today. But we did have a chance to talk to the Navy about this recovery mission to retrieve the astronauts. It is meticulously planned. They have the USS Murpha recovery ship already out there. This recovery is going to happen about 50 or 60 miles off the coast of San Diego. So we won't be able to see it visually, but we do know that they have very experienced medical Navy divers. 4 of them in particular are going to be the ones who make the first contact with the astronauts right there in the Orion capsule. They gave us a list. The Navy was telling us these are the #1 things they're going to be doing in that moment. First and foremost, checking for any trauma. If there's any medical emergency, they're going to make sure that the astronauts are coherent. They're going to ask them if they feel any pain. They're going to do a pat down to make sure that everything looks okay. At that point, Navy helicopters are on standby and will helicopter them to that recovery ship. From there, they'll be evaluated again. There's even surgeons on board prepared if they need to. This is a recovery mission that they have been training for with NASA for more than a year. Take a listen.
They've been training with NASA for a long time, rehearsing these drills in many cases, a year or more. And what they do, nobody else in the world can do. They're prepared to do all of this at night if they have to. Very technical details of a platform, a spacecraft in this case, that they're not accustomed to working with.
And they were actually telling us that earlier this year, the Navy divers that are involved with this, along with NASA, went out far out to sea off the coast of San Diego here for a week. And every day they did drills and they simulated this exact thing that is going to happen today with an Orion capsule over and over again, to the point where these divers can essentially now do this in their sleep. But it's a huge feat, and we'll all be watching to see if we can catch the astronauts as they land here in Coronado later tonight.
Steve, this might be a silly question, but there's probably a lot of people here who are not astronauts like you that are watching us, so I feel like it's probably worth asking. Is there anything at this stage that could abort the landing? Could there be some sort of weather pattern that could change, that would close the landing window, or are we past the point of no return here? This Orion capsule is coming home no matter what.
it's coming home no matter what. One of the really cool things about this mission is, remember when they did that translunar injection burn as they zoomed around the Earth a few days ago? That set the whole mission. After that, they haven't really even used their main rocket engine to come back. So this is physics at work. That's going to bring them home.
So that basically the energy from that was enough to push them right to where they need to go to get here today.
It was a beautiful symphony of physics, mathematics, orbital mechanics, and everything going just right. Because even the guidance system on the spacecraft didn't need a couple of the adjustment burns that were planned. It was that good.
Wow. So, Dr. Rice, Steve just brought up a pretty impressive moment from this mission. What other things stood out to you as huge advancements in terms of what they were trying to accomplish and how it went?
Yeah, this is just, I don't know if I could pick just one thing. There's so many things that have happened in this mission. I think some of my favorites are the things that brought us together, like even some of the silly things, the wake-up songs and Rise, the little zero-G mascot, when they got to talk to the International Space Station, like things like that are just human experiences that we've shared here on Earth while these astronauts have been further away than humans have ever been from Earth. It's just been amazing to see people come together and enjoy this.
Yeah. Tom, I'm told that you have a new update for Mission Control. What can you tell us?
Well, Artemis Commander Reed Weissman, again, he's in the left seat there, just reported that the leak checks are complete and all is good. These orange suits they wear, of course, as you've seen on liftoff and also on return, they're pressurized. And the idea being that if they were to lose pressurization inside the crew module, they could have 6 days worth of oxygen inside those orange suits. They're orange because that's the international color for suits in an emergency of this sort, right? If you ever had one, not saying there will be, but they're wearing these suits just as part of the entire re-entry process, completely normal. Everything is going exactly as it should, and now they've just done a leak check, and that has gone well as well. So they're very much on track here for a 753 entry interface, if you will, hitting the atmosphere at 400,000 feet.
All right, let's bring meteorologist Bill Cairns into the conversation. Bill, obviously weather's one of the few things that they have no control over. What should we expect in terms of how the weather will cooperate with this splashdown?
Yeah, Southern California is doing its thing, Ryan. I mean, they purposely picked this location for a reason. These are the criteria it had to meet for today. They needed the winds to be less than 30 miles per hour, the seas to be less than 6 feet, and that's a tricky one. Clear visibility. Obviously, they need to get the helicopters and the rescues and everyone back to the ship, and they can't have any rain or lightning in the area. So right now, the winds are as light as could be. I mean, it's perfect. Winds are at 6, 9, 12 in Oceanside. And as far as the seas go, we're going to see the splashdown somewhere near this NOAA buoy that's out here off the coast. Right now it's reporting 4-foot seas. That's perfect too. And the cloud cover, the marine layer, was actually pretty thick earlier today, and you can actually see it here, all these white clouds. And notice it's kind of dissipating, so now it's down to partly cloudy skies. So this is near perfect too, Ryan. So, check, check, check. Everything is just looking, as far as the things that we can't control, these are looking great.
Okay, good news. Thank you for that, Bill. And Gadi, we're about less than 2 minutes away before we hand this over to our network colleagues to bring this splashdown home. Any final thoughts about what this experience has been like and what you take away from all of it?
I mean, the mission is not over here, right? We still have a few hours before they're safely back here on the ground and embraced by Earth. But Ryan, I don't think we understand what Artemis 3 is about to bring. This is just a preview. This is the end of an era, and then after this, the beginning of a whole new way of space travel. So as soon as they land, the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is hearing about what Artemis 3 and Artemis 4 is going to look like. And Ryan, it's not just going to be the SLS going up. We're going to see other spacecraft going up. We're going to see rocket launches happening one after another, HLS, everything that has to happen before we build a moon base in 2 years. It does feel like right now NASA is on an accelerated track, and it is so exciting to see. But again, this mission is not over, so we will wait until they are finally back here on Earth to start talking about that.
Well, I want to thank you all for sharing this with us.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.